one of the happiest Cubs fans outside of myself, and that is the one and only Steve Detterman. How you doing, sir?
I am doing good. How can you not be happy if you're a Cubs fan right now?
Man, as advertised, the Cubs look as good.
In a row, we've gotten to the championship series, the division championship series. So, last year we were ahead of schedule. Remember, we talked about that.
Right.
The Cubs were ahead of schedule. Now we are on schedule.
Yes.
I expect different results this time.
I absolutely do too. And a little bit of statistical history for you. This is the first time the Chicago Cubs have advanced in the playoffs back to back.
Into the championship
since
series.
The new format.
Yeah.
Yes. The very first time ever.
Yeah.
So, because remember, before this, there was no wild card.
No.
Either
you made it, you didn't. You just had the championship, and that was it.
Right. And then before that, I don't know.
I'm not buzzing all of a sudden. I sound like Jiminy Cricket there.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, anyhow. And then before that, of course, it was just, whoever won the pennant went in the World Series.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going back, back to when the Cubs won the last World Series.
That is true.
So, so that's a neat piece of history.
It
but
is.
4 games is all it took.
Yep.
The Cubs got by every game except Bumgarner's game, which I was not too terribly surprised, and they actually almost won that. That went 13 innings.
And that was one that they should have won because they went into the 8th inning leading. And when you go into the 8th inning leading, that's something that when you've got closers like Chapman and Rondon down there, you do not expect that you're going to blow a late inning game.
Right.
But this was one that you got to get handed to the Giants. They came back, they hit the big boys, and actually took the lead. And what was nice is that I sat there and that was we talked about the late starts.
Right.
And this is one of the ones, got to the late start, and I was dead.
Here's a funny moment for you.
Okay.
My job A, my other job, I have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Actually, it's about 2:30 in the morning, really. All right. And when I get up that early, I have to go to bed. Now, I went to bed a little bit late, as I'm sitting here ding-donging around with the microphone.
That's okay. It sounds good now.
Okay. I had to go to bed a little bit late because I wanted to see the beginning of the game. So I caught like the first 2 innings. All right, and I finally fell out. That was it. Couldn't do it anymore. My alarm goes off at 2:30. I get up. I stretch. I yawn. I look over. The TV's still on. And the game is still on. And at first I thought, okay, I'm watching the replay.
Right.
Like an immediate replay of the game. And so then I looked at what inning it was. I was like, 13th inning? And then the math started to add up in my head, which I've always said you do the most amazing math first thing in the morning, especially when you're trying to figure out how many more minutes of sleep you can steal away from the day.
That is right. The snooze is 9, and I add 4.
Right, exactly. If I drive another 4 miles an hour faster to work, I take 2 less seconds washing my hair.
I just don't drink that coffee.
Right, exactly. And so I started doing the math, and I was like, wait. This has to be live if it's 13 innings. And sure enough, I watched the very end of I watched the Cubs lose that game. But I also caught all 3 of the wins, and I was
just a dead tired person.
Suffice to say, I was very satisfied yet very tired.
Yeah,
but it was worth it. It was totally worth it. Very good series, and now on to the Dodgers. We just found out, of course, Thursday night that the Dodgers, thanks to the 1 inning effort of Clayton Kershaw to lock it down.
That's right. After pitching the day before.
Yeah, after pitching the day
innings?
before. Yeah. He goes
6
up.
or 7?
Yeah, he comes up to the manager and says, "Look, I've got an inning in me."
They said, "No, not at all."
Yeah,
no,
go
sit down. And he goes and sits down. He goes in the clubhouse, changes, puts his new spikes, put on his game spikes, and came back out and said, "I'm going in."
Yeah. They were like, "Well, I suppose." But he shut him down.
Yes,
he shut him down, and now the Dodgers are going to have the pleasure of taking on the Cubs.
Now, here's the thing that you look at. When you start setting this game, setting this series up.
Mm-hmm.
Kershaw pitched Thursday night.
Right.
Okay. He pitched
after
pitching Wednesday night.
Yes.
So usually, if you have and that's coming off of 4 days rest.
Right.
So he didn't have his full complement of rest. He pitched over 100 pitches the first game.
Right.
Over 100 pitches the other game.
Right.
He pitched, I think, 14 or 15 pitches last night.
Right.
When do you expect to see him? The third game or the fourth game?
Well,
or do you say he's going to come back for number 2? Do you think he'll pitch on Sunday?
I really don't think that. There's no way he's pitching on 2 days rest.
I think right now we'll see him in the third game, and that'll be on Tuesday.
I think it's going to fall the same way the Giants happen to fall since they had to use their ace to clinch the wild card game. They had to wait and use him in Game 3. I think Dodgers are going to do the same thing. Kershaw is not going to – we're not going to see Kershaw till Game 3, and he's going to go up against Jake Arrieta. And that would be, if I remember right, that would be the first game in Los Angeles.
It'll be the first game in Los Angeles. Now,
yeah.
But here's the thing, and as a Cub fan, you got to take a look at this. Even if he comes back in that third game, he's only coming on short rest again, 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a man that has been on the disabled list for most of the second half of the season.
Right.
So he was injured.
Right.
He had hurt himself. He came back and he had some limited innings. Now he's gone. He's pitched, went on 4 days rest, went on 1 day's rest, and then 4 days rest.
Right.
How effective can he? I mean, this by far, and this is the thing I keep. How effective is he? Because in his prime, when he has full 5 days rest, this is the best damn pitcher you're ever going to go up against. This is the best damn pitcher in the major leagues.
Right.
Clayton Kershaw is that guy.
But on 4 days rest
twice,
after 3 out of the last 8 days pitching, I got to tell you, he's going to be throwing some beach balls out there.
Well, and that's it. But even at that, would you take an effective Clayton Kershaw, or would you take John Lackey? Remember how Lackey pitched, I've told you, I've pointed out over the past couple of years, Lackey's digression as the season goes on. When he was younger, he was Mr. Playoff.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at his, in his rookie season in Anaheim,
he's pitched as many games, as I think there's only a couple people have pitched more games than he has in playoffs.
Yeah, and he's pitched so well. His ERA in playoffs is fantastic at the beginning of his career. But I still, when you're looking at Kershaw and what he can do, and then you take how much rest that he's missing out on, and given his history this year health-wise, going into this game, knowing that you have probably the best contact hitting team in baseball, I really like your odds against Clayton Kershaw on short rest. So that presses the question, do you wait until Game 4?
And here's the thing. When you take a look at the other pitchers, and you've already lost Rich Hill. So you lost your number 2 starter, because remember, he was number 2.
Yeah.
When your number 2 starter is Rich Hill, how bad does that really point out to you?
Yeah, you better hope your bullpen's really well.
Who are the other starters? There's Maeda.
Yep.
Okay. Name another one.
You got me.
See, I've not heard of him yet. Fukuyama, you got me.
Yeah. Japanese league, played for the Dragons.
Well, they've had a lot of different Japanese pitchers out there, so it wouldn't surprise me. But seriously, when you start going through their pitching depth, they really don't have, other than Kershaw, who do they really have? They have some live young arms. They've got some good young arms, but they have no experience.
Yeah, that's the thing. No experience in that rotation outside of Kershaw, and then you have the Cubs on the other side with 2 very seasoned playoff pitchers and one just fantastically dynamic pitcher right now. And and not to mention a defense that's backing up every pitcher that goes to the bump, and a bullpen that at any point can shut the entire game down. So you do have a huge disparity of talent. But the thing I like the most, and a lot of people have asked me over the last couple of days since the Cubs won the series, and they were just kind of waiting to see who was going to be their next opponent. A lot of people ask me, do you want Washington or would you want the Dodgers? And I told them this. I said, look, the Dodgers, if you're the Cubs at all, you wanted the Dodgers. Main reason, familiarity. When you have a situation, and this goes for any good, long-standing rivalry where the teams see each other all the time, they play each other all the time. Cubs and Dodgers see each other a lot. They play, if I remember right, I think they play like 12 games a year.
I think they play 9 games a year.
Is it 9 games?
I think 9. I think they play.
But they play every year.
Yes.
It's not.
Yes.
It's not a. Oh well, we're going to see them. Maybe 4 games this year in an interleague, or we're going to see them. They're a team we don't. I mean, yeah, they're in the National League, but we don't hardly ever see them. No, this is the Dodgers.
Right.
This is as close to a divisional rivalry without being in the division as you can get outside of maybe the Mets for the Cubs.
This is what I love. I pulled up probable pitchers. Probable pitchers for Game 1, Kenta Maeda versus John Lester. Mm-hmm. Game 2, Kyle Hendricks versus TBA.
To be announced.
In Game 3.
That's a popular guy.
And the thing is,
he's everywhere.
Game 3, Jake Arrieta against TBA again. That TBA pitches a lot.
Yeah, boy, he's got to get tired.
But I mean, that's what they're looking at.
But getting back to my point, so when you have teams that know each other really, really well, you're not going to be pulling any surprises out of your hat. You're not going to outmanage the other manager. They know every trick you got. So what do? It comes down to talent at that point. The raw talent, the ability to execute, that's where it comes down. And that's the case, then the Chicago Cubs have the advantage hands down because they're the far more talented team in this series. Far more talented.
Okay, here we go. Here's starting pitchers.
Yeah.
Clayton Kershaw.
Okay.
He's wasted till about the 3rd game.
Okay.
Rich Hill. When do you start Rich Hill? 4th game?
You'd have to.
He didn't pitch that long, so you could probably bring him back too. He's our number 2 starter. Kenta Maeda, he's going to start Game 1.
Right.
Julio Urias. That's your other starter. That's your 4th starter.
Well, I guess you don't really have a choice.
You go Maeda, Hill, Kershaw, Urias, or you go Maeda, Urias, Kershaw, Hill?
Because
you got to get Hill and you got to get Kershaw in there by Game 3 if you want him at least for Game 7 if you get there.
Right. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, Kershaw can't wait for 4.
No. Okay, let's take a look at the.
I would say really, if you're the Dodgers, it's going to depend on how it goes at Wrigley, how those first 2 games go. Actually, how that first game goes. If you win the first game. If you happen to steal the first game at Wrigley against John Lester, against all odds, I would rest Hill at that point until Game 4. I would take a shot. Would you go with
Urias?
I would take a shot then with Urias because then you're kind of playing with house money because you just took one at Wrigley.
Okay.
So even if you drop that second one at Wrigley, you're still up in the series. You've exchanged home field in the series. And now you're going back to Los Angeles for 3 in a row.
So Urias this year was 5-2 on the year with a 3.39 ERA. Not a lot of action there, huh?
No, not really.
Okay. Let's. We got time here. We don't need to take a break, do we yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Let's take a look at these rosters and let's take a look position by position. This is what you're going to face. Starting catcher, you got Yasmani Grandal against any one of the Cubs. Contreras. You can bring in David Ross.
Yeah, I would say if Lester's pitching, David Ross.
It'll be David Ross. Okay,
catcher.
So we got Ross against Grandal. I take Ross every day.
Oh, absolutely.
First base, Adrian Gonzalez, or do you go with the man Rizzo?
Oh, you got to take Rizzo.
Okay. Second base, Chase Utley. The star of the series, this last series, Javier Baez.
Ooh, that's tight. That's tight because Chase Utley's...
I still go with Baez. Utley's past his prime. Utley's now playing on house money right now.
Right, but Utley is still... I mean, he's still Chase Utley, and it's still October.
You know what?
So
I put it this way. I will take Baez's defense. I mean, the slap tag that he does, the plays that he gets to are just unbelievable. And now his bat. What did he hit? He had like seven or 8 hits in the series.
Yeah. Okay, you've sold me. Yeah,
okay.
You've sold me.
Shortstop, Corey Seager or Addison Russell?
Oh, you got to take Addison.
No, you got to take Corey Seager.
What?
Corey Seager, come on. That's your rookie of the year this year, and possibly he's someone up for your MVP. 306,
really?
26 home runs, 72 RBIs as a rookie.
Well, yeah.
I'll take him. I
still don't like the fact that he's a rookie.
I like Addison Russell too, but I think Corey Seager he's the real deal there also. Okay. Third base, Justin Turner, Chris Bryant. Do we even need to discuss that?
Yeah, so why would we discuss that?
Okay.
Throw that one out the window.
There
All
you
right,
go.
keep going.
Left field. Okay. You got Howie Kendrick. Or you got, let's say, we'll go with Zobrist out there.
No, I don't even know who the hell Howie Kendrick is.
We got Howie Kendrick. The backup there is Yasiel Puig. Kendrick, 255 batting average, 8 home runs, 40 RBIs. He's a nice contact hitter. I still would take Zobrist.
Yeah, it still pulls Zobrist over him.
Center field, Jock Peterson or Dexter Fowler? Peterson on the year, 25 home runs, 68 RBIs. 246 batting average. You got Fowler, who has just about as many RBIs, not that many home runs, but a higher batting average.
I think Fowler's going to cover a lot of ground too, so his defense is.
I think Peterson. She showed last year how much he tends to strike out. Now the backup out there is Andre Ethier. So, I mean, you've got Andre Ethier you can bring it to. Right field, Josh Reddick. That's the guy that they got from Oakland.
Right.
281 batting average, only 10 home runs and 37 RBIs. I mean, none of these guys have driven in a lot.
Right.
And you've got also the guy that doesn't driven in a lot but brings you a hell of a lot of defense. You know, that's Jason Hayward out there.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, and the thing is that the nice thing I like with the Cubs is that you've got other people you can bring off the bench in the outfield too.
Oh, there are a whole lot. There are a whole lot of utility players that the Cubs have that can play anything. So I mean, it's kind of the beautiful thing about the way this Cubs bench is built. It's built on a wealth of talent at every position and any position. So I mean, there is no one person that gets hurt and you're like, oh my God, okay, that's it, we're done.
And then starting pitchers, you go Kershaw, Rich Hill, Kenta Maeda, and Julio Urias. For the Cubs, you go Johnny Lester, Kyle Hendricks, Jake Arrieta, and then John Lackey.
Oh God, you know the Cubs rotation is going to take that.
I mean,
seriously.
If you go by just looking at the numbers, the Cubs should sweep this thing.
Yeah, much should.
If you go by numbers. But the problem is they don't play the game by numbers. The nice thing is that this year, the Cubs are not the wild card.
Right.
The Cubs have home field advantage.
Right.
In this series.
Right.
They know they're going to play more games at Wrigley than they'll have to play out in L.A.
Right.
So, I mean, this is one in which, I think we're going to see a tight game on Friday or tomorrow.
Sure.
I think it's just going to be tight early. I think, actually, that before it ends up, I think the Cubs are going to blow them out. I look for this one to be over in about 5 games. I think by this time next week, the Cubs will be heading to the World Series.
I too do believe it's a 5-game run. I think Kershaw is going to pitch in Game 3. It's the first game back in Los Angeles. I do like Clayton Kershaw to still pitch well, even on short rest. Even after everything we said, I still like him to pitch well. I think the Cubs get a little hard luck in that game, and I think they end up dropping one game. But I think that'll end up being the only game they drop. I think it'll turn out very similar to the series with the Giants. So, I like the Cubs in 5. Okay. I do.
Now, when you look at this series, and we just watched the Cubs come off of the Giants, now they go to the Dodgers, do you kind of get the feeling that the Cubs versus the Giants was the championship match for this side, the NL side?
I do, really, because really when you look at the Dodgers and the Nationals, you look at either team, really, their biggest pieces were either hurt or they weren't playing as well.
Well, who was hotter than the Giants coming into the playoffs? They had to sweep the Dodgers just to get into the playoffs.
Right.
So I mean, that was that was the main thing, right there as far as who's coming in and who's going to be hot, coming into that series. So I mean, I had a feeling that when you watch that series, that to me was like, here, this is the series. This is going to determine who's going to go to the World Series.
Right.
Now the thing is I think the Cubs felt that way too, and I hope that they can just get that out of their system. Remember last year when they beat St. Louis to get the championship game, they were so excited to beat St. Louis,
right? And
they're so pumped up. They went to play the Mets and they laid an egg.
Yeah,
I mean they laid a huge egg. That was one of those brontosaurus eggs out there. One that Fred Flintstone would be proud to put on his card. Just plop, there it goes. You just get this feeling, and you go, guys, you have to make sure this is not what the goal was. The goal wasn't just to get here. Last year, yes, it was just, hey, we're ahead of schedule. This is great. You beat the Cardinals. You got here. This year, it's not that way. And I think you can see that in the players' eyes. You can listen to it when they talk. Last year you heard all the excitement, the emotion, and everything pouring out after being the Cardinals.
Right.
This year you could see the emotion in the celebration, but it was also a little bit more subdued, I thought. I didn't think it was as wild and crazy as last year because I think this year they realize what their goal is. And I credit a lot of that to Joe Madden. From day one, he has preached this team that this is going to be World Series. That's it. Put the target on our back. Remember he had the thing? The target's on us. And he went through the whole preseason. He's gone through the whole season, with the mantra, hey, we got the targets on our back. Don't try to suck. Just every different thing, that he has brought out to get these guys ready and put them in the mindset that just by getting to the championship series, that's not the goal. Right.
The goal is to win the World Series. Yeah, exactly. They were like, hey, last year it was close. We were ahead of schedule.
None of us expected them to do what they did.
No, everybody figured they were still a year away. And then this year, the target was on their back.
I mean, they were expected to win from day one.
Right.
All the pundits said, hey, who's going to win the World Series? The Cubs. The Cubs. And you remember the Cubs, they were dealt a heavy blow first week of the season.
Right.
Kyle Schwarber out for the year.
Right.
The baby Bambino is gone, and now you got to fill in.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Just think about the lore involved in everything that we're talking about right now.
Right.
I don't know. Just to me, it's so poetic too.
Well, here's the thing,
and the stars just seem to be lining up for the Cubs.
It is. I mean, to do what they did Tuesday night, that was the largest comeback to win a game in the ninth inning in Major League history.
Right.
There was another team that came back from 3 down, but they only took in extra innings before they won.
Right.
The Cubs were 3 down and came back and won in the ninth inning. And to do that on the road,
that's even better.
It is.
That is very special.
But now, we take a look at this roster and you start thinking, okay.
Right.
Schwarber now is practicing with the team. He's doing agility drills with the team. He's not going to play, of course.
He can't.
No, he can't. But the thing is, everybody's like, oh my God, we can get him out here and play and blah, blah, blah. No. But what about next year now?
Well, a lot of people have said the Cubs aren't built just for this year.
Well, they aren't.
They're built for years.
But here's the thing now. With the arrival of Javi Baez, and you talk to people about Javi Baez, and you watch him, and I've watched him throughout the year, and you watch the progression. You watched him improve. You watch Addison Russell improve. Okay? Where does Ben Zobrist go? What do you do with Ben Zobrist? What do you do with Jason Hayward? Your $88 million man when Schwarber comes back. Dexter Fowler only has the 1-year contract. Do you bring him back again, or do you have? Oh my God, who's the other kid that they've got? The outfielder, the Cubs. Almora Jr.
Yeah.
Do you bring him in finally? You watched his defense in that other game the other night.
Right.
Okay, that's their best defensive outfielder. When you get Jason Hayward and you say, no, Almora is better. Right. That's saying something.
That's saying a lot.
Okay. Where do you start playing these guys? Do you start running into issues? And this is something that, Joe Madden is going to have to deal with next year. Yes, Ross is going to be gone. If you don't think Ross is going to jump into a coaching position with the Chicago Cubs somewhere?
Oh, I really do think so.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, I think the door is definitely open for that. They've probably already even been talking about it. It would be nice for David Ross to go out on top, too.
I could see David Ross jumping into a minor league coaching spot, say maybe South Bend.
Yeah, possibly right here.
I really got a feeling that they have plans for him. He knows the game. He's very well respected. He's well respected and liked within the Cubs organization. And I think that he has found in the last 2 years that he likes the Cubs organization a hell of a lot also.
Right.
So, it's nice to be able to take the time and sit there and go, okay, this is a great year. What about next year? What are you going to do? Where are you going to put? Where's Schwarber going to fit in?
Well, I'll tell you, to be perfectly honest, I want to see this year complete before I even worry about next year.
Oh, I do too. But it's always nice to sit there and go, wow. If you take a look at 3-4 years ago when we were losing 100 games a year,
right?
And you and I were just sitting there, in March going, season's over. But Steve, it doesn't start for another week. It's okay. Season's over. It's been over the last couple of years.
Right.
To where they're at right now, and you're going, okay, well, how are we going to play these guys?
Right. The wealth of talent.
What are we going to do? But when you start figuring out that you're going to be losing Arrieta.
Right.
Okay. Lackey has just another year left. Okay. Hamill, you're probably going to need to replace him. He's 36, 37 right now.
Right.
Okay. He had a good year. He's not a quality, starter for you.
Sure.
That's going to last for as much as he did. I was surprised what he did this year. I'm very pleased.
Right.
So you're going to have to replace some pitchers. Are you going to be able to re-sign Chapman? Do you want to re-sign Chapman?
Oh, I don't know why you wouldn't.
I imagine you want to, but can you?
That's going to be the question.
But here's the thing. With everything the Cubs are doing within that area, as far as their new construction, as far as what they're doing in that, how much money do you think is coming into that organization right now? Is this, this is now, the market that they're in, as good as they're doing this year. Can you imagine if they win the World Series, what their jersey sales and what just the sales are going to be on that stuff?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Unreal. Like nothing we've ever seen.
And how much they're going to bring in off that. Are we going to see the second coming of the New York Yankees then? Right now they've pushed their payroll up there quite a bit. But
I don't know if it's ever going to be Steinbrenner-esque.
Hey, they're also putting together a Cubs network. Just like the Yankees have their network.
Yeah,
you've got
I still don't know if it would ever be Steinbrenner-esque. I really don't.
If you take, you take a look. You got the Yankees.
Okay.
You got Boston.
Right.
You got L.A.
Right.
Those are your three big spending teams.
And those are your two biggest markets. And then you have Chicago, which is the third biggest market. So.
And the White Sox don't count.
Not right now.
So I mean,
sorry, Craig.
No, I apologize too. But until they do something, no, they don't.
I know. Our buddy Craig, the bartender Williams on Maximus and the bartender, big White Sox fan.
And the thing is, I was so excited, and this is this is something that, when you talk Chicago baseball, and people go, "Well, I'm either a Sox fan or a Cubs fan." No, I tell you, when they won back in 2000, I loved
2005.
I loved it. I watched it. I lived. I was so happy for him. I listened to every game. I mean, it was exciting. It was exciting for Chicago.
Right.
It was exciting for baseball. So, I mean, I think that we're going to see the advent of the Cubs taking that payroll and moving it up to where they will challenge Boston, L.A., and New York as one of the top payrolls in baseball.
Well, and this is why the Ricketts family bought him, because the Tribune Company was never going to do that. So.
Oh, God, no. God, no. That was not going to happen.
No, definitely not.
But also the Ricketts family is seeing the joy and they're seeing the benefits of what they've done. I mean, they're getting paid back 3, 4, 5-fold of what they put in, if not more.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got to get to a break. When we come back, boy, we haven't even talked anything else, and
well, do we need to?
Yeah, I mean, we almost don't need to, but we really should cover, considering the entire country has worlds of sports all over the place.
Nah.
And by the way, for all you White Sox fans out there, we will be taking invitations to join the Cubs bandwagon. I'm just my little dig in there.
No, we don't want you.
No,
actually,
we got to take them.
Actually, baseball fans, this is when, bandwagon jumping is legal.
Oh,
but
sure.
I mean, this is when just baseball. You love watching good baseball.
If you are a true fan of the game of baseball and a true fan of the history of baseball, you are rooting for the Cubs.
Oh, everyone is.
It's so hard.
It was like a couple years ago rooting for Boston when they got there.
Right. Yeah, as a Cubs fan, I could care less or couldn't care less about the Boston Red Sox until they were trying to finally get over the hump, and when they beat the Yankees, I was rooting just as loud as any Bostonian. And one of my very good friends, he's an insurance agent of mine. He's a big Red Sox fan. He's New England everything fan, Patriots fan and whatnot, Celtics. And we were both, so excited about that series.
Yeah, my wife's family's from Massachusetts.
Right.
So it was yeah. But here's the thing, and this is one last thing I'll point out. How good for baseball would a Cubs World Series win be? Just good for the game of baseball.
It would rejuvenate the interest in the game of baseball unlike any I've ever seen. I honestly think 9K9 or EA Sports would actually bring another baseball game out for Xbox, which I'm really hoping they do. If you work for EA Sports, put the bug in somebody's ear.
I think that if the Cubs win the World Series, I think the rejuvenation in baseball by youngsters playing the game, because right now, baseball is almost a dying sport. It's a sport where there's not that many people that are as involved as they used to be.
Oh, not near as much. It's funny because baseball is one of those things. As a kid, you play it. Everybody has a little league in their town. As a kid, you play baseball. You get to high school, you might play baseball. By the time you get to college, you're not interested in playing baseball.
By then, it's softball.
Or
softball and beer.
Right, exactly. You associate playing the game of baseball with softball, beer league softball.
Yep.
Is really what you associate it with. So it is kind of sad. But
how much would this rejuvenate the interest in the game itself? I think that's what's so historical about this run.
Right.
Is that I think that by the Cubs doing what they're doing, and if they continue to do what they do, this is going to be unbelievable. Now, one other thing. We have a friend of ours, a friend of the show. His team's in the AL Championship Series.
Right, the Toronto Blue Jays.
I've already reached out a little bit. If we can get to a Cubs and a Blue Jays final, wouldn't it be nice to have David May on the show if we could get him?
It would very much be even nicer if you could get us some tickets. I'm just saying.
I don't even think I would press that. But
I would push that button. But if out of the kindness of his heart, if he happened to
have some tickets,
I
wouldn't turn them down.
Yeah, they fell on the floor here in the studio. I picked them up. Nobody claimed them after a couple days.
I think that would be something to have him
it would
be able to talk.
It would be.
I mean, that's something that I'll have to see how these series goes. Reach out, even if they don't make it. He's scouting the Cubs this week. He'll probably be one of the scouts at the games.
Oh, I'm certain he will.
He was at the game in Washington last night.
That doesn't surprise me.
So he was scouting there. So I'm sure that he'll be one of the scouts watching the Cubs-Dodgers series.
All right. Well, then we may have to. May have to speak with him.
I may have to reach out and say, "Hey, I am free Sunday night. I can make a trip in somewhere. I do work tomorrow, and it'd be too late to get in there. But Sunday, I think I could swing that.
Right.
I might be able to swing a trip in.
There you go. Sneaking his way into Wrigley.
There you go.
Nice. We got to get to a break. When we come back, baseball isn't the only thing on our minds. Actually, it is. But we have to talk NFL, too. So we're going to get there right on the other side of this. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
Contact Kickstart Studios, audio recording services for all your recording needs. Songwriters, comedians, band demos, commercials, voiceovers, narration, sound effects, background music. Give us a call, 574-274-8046. Kickstart Studios at Comcast.net or like us on Facebook at Kickstart Studios.
Option 5, located in Mishawaka, Indiana, specializes in hand-built boutique guitar effects pedals. Option 5 has been producing the highest quality pedals right here in northern Indiana since 2002, and they continue to create original, non-copy designs today. Option 5 is not simply tweaking popular pedals and then slapping their name on them. They're producing groundbreaking effects designed for guitarists of all styles. And Option 5 doesn't just build cool pedals. They provide top-notch repair service as well. Option 5 repairs pedals and PA equipment, can modify and retube amplifiers, and service or repair Hammond organs and Leslie speakers. If you're looking for the highest quality effects pedals and the best in repair and customer service, check out Option 5 in Mishawaka at 1126 East Jefferson. Give them a call at 574-255-6539 or online at option5effects.com. That's option, the number 5effects.com. Option 5. Let tone abound.
Whether it's a hot rod or a grocery getter, DDW Automotive and Transmission has you covered. Since 1991, they've been located at 204 South Beach Road in Osceola, Indiana. Stop by or call 574-651-5000. Ask for Dave. Tell him you heard about him on XCRS Radio. With over 46 years experience in the automotive and transmission repair business, they offer all your high-performance service and maintenance needs. Bring your ride to DDW. If your tranny misbehaves, just call Dave.
Hey, this is Kelly Sue Dennis, the voice of the Michiana scene on XCRS Radio. Join me on Monday nights at 6 o'clock in Pleasant Valley. We welcome in local musicians, listen to their stories, and play their tunes. If you want to know what's happening for the week, tune in to XCRSradio.com. And remember, It's World Live Radio, baby. Do what you love and love what you do. Monday Nights with Kelly Sue.
And we are back. You're listening to Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. If you happen to be in the area, you want to check out some great live music, The Recent is at the Phoenix tonight. The Rattlers will be there tomorrow. At Pat's Irish Pub tomorrow, Top Secret will be there. And 5 Star Dive Bar tonight is Ultra Fab. You can check them out. And we were just talking. I actually had my date wrong on that. 2012 is what I was thinking. Not 2005 for the Raiders. It was 2012.
2012 for the Raiders.
Yeah, that was the last time they held the division. We were talking just earlier, or we were talking during the break about some of the stuff going on in the NFL right now. The Raiders,
some of the goings-ons.
Yeah, the Raiders play the Chiefs this weekend, and one of the things of note is if the Raiders now, because last night Denver losing,
right?
If the Raiders win against Kansas City this weekend, they will have the AFC West outright.
They'll control.
They'll control. Yeah, it won't, obviously they didn't win the division.
No.
But it'll be under their control. This will be the first time they control the division since they had that 7-2 start back in 2012. The very first time. Since.
The Raiders.
The
Raiders are coming.
Man, oh man, they look good too.
They had, they
are looking good after all the years of them looking bad. Damn, they're starting.
I don't know if
good.
They're looking good or they're just getting lucky.
No,
I mean, they look good, but then their defense looks horrible.
Their defense needs a little work, but man, their offense.
I think they've really they've done just enough to win. I mean, put it this way: they've scored 142 points. They've given up 137. And they're 4-1.
Sure. Hey, you know what? Good teams, decent teams find a way to win.
That I guess.
I think they're a pretty good team. Now,
I don't disagree.
Obviously, going up against Kansas City is going to be a pretty good test, even though the Chiefs' defense has a few issues, a couple injuries. Still, a potentially very dynamic offense that they're going to have to try and run with, and I don't think the Raiders' defense
now is Jamal Charles
going
to play this week?
Jamal Charles will play this week. He was in limited action last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, bye week last week, and so I think with the bye week, got that extra week of rest. I think he's going to end up playing this week, and I think he will share time with Charkandrick West still. That's not really uncommon for Jamal Charles because even when he's healthy, he still shares time.
Right.
So I wouldn't put Jamal Charles out there and try and make him 70% of the offense anymore.
No, I don't think his body can take that anymore.
Well, and I don't think their offense is designed to do that anymore. Now that they have wide receivers, they have several good wide receivers.
They had to redevelop themselves or redesign themselves during that time.
Right. And they did. And they did. And they have several great wide receivers now. They also have probably one of the best tight ends in the game right now, which isn't that funny.
I know.
Kansas City, one of the best tight ends of the game. We've been saying that for a lot of years.
Wow.
Went right from Tony Gonzalez to Travis.
I don't think we've ever seen that before, have we? Good tight end in Kansas City?
Yeah, I know, right? Went right from Tony Gonzalez. Like 1 year, they had Anthony Fasano, which he's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Former Notre Dame guy.
Yeah, and then they turn around and get Travis Kelce, who
he hasn't done so bad.
He's okay. Not so bad at all.
He's okay.
Not bad whatsoever. You know who Travis Kelce reminds me of?
Who's that?
Jeremy Shockey. You remember when Jeremy Shockey played for the Giants?
And he would run over people, and he was just a bundle of energy. And
just a beast.
Just tough as
such
nails,
a beast. And Travis Kelce reminds me of that. I mean, he's built like a middle linebacker, but he's as graceful as a wide receiver.
Before we drop into a couple topics.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've got we're 5 games in.
Sure.
Okay.
We've
got 1 quarter of the season done.
Right.
Surprises so far? Any surprises for you?
Any
teams doing better than you thought they were?
I would
teams
say
doing worse than you thought they would.
Big surprise for me is Houston and Brock Osweiler not getting it together quite like what they should be. As much money as what they spent on him, as good as what Osweiler looked in Denver, I really expected more.
But has it been the offense or the lack of the defense here lately?
No. Osweiler has the 4th worst completion percentage in the NFL. He's thrown on average of 2.5 interceptions per game. Okay. So, yeah, you can definitely pin that on the offense. Other big surprise to me is how last night notwithstanding, how good Denver's done, having to start nobody at quarterback.
Right. They're 4-2 right now. I picked them to be about a 500 club, 8-9 win.
Right. And I figured them to be 7-9, 8-8, something like that as well. So for them to be 4-2 at this point, even with the loss last night to San Diego, I would say that's a surprise for me. I think surprises for teams that took a step backwards, Seattle for sure. I think their offense, without Marshawn Lynch, their offense was kind of a sham without him, and I think that's being proved. I just didn't think it'd be this bad.
Do you know they're leading the league in the West? They're 3-1.
That doesn't surprise me. It's the NFC West.
Well, no. Remember, Arizona's out there.
Yeah. Arizona's another big surprise.
I was waiting for you to say Arizona.
Yeah. You know what? I forgot. I completely forgot about Arizona until you mentioned it. Yeah. Bruce Arians has got that team right now on the ropes. I don't even know what he's doing out there. Take a look at the championship
game in the NFC last year and what those teams are doing this year. Arizona 2-3, Carolina 1-4.
Well,
they lost one game of Cam Newton.
Yeah. Yeah, Carolina would be a big surprise.
They're 1-3 with Cam Newton.
Yeah, Carolina would be a big surprise. I think
Atlanta being 4-1.
That you know what? That doesn't surprise me as much as you would think.
It surprises me. I expected them to be about an 8-9 game win. Right now, they're looking anywhere, I think, from 11 to 12 games. I mean, I've been real impressed at them allowing Matt Ryan to actually throw the ball.
Yeah, given the division they're in, I'd give him 10 games
because Matt Ryan spent most of his time on his back the last couple of years.
Right. Well, the offensive line has improved a little bit during the offseason. That is always helpful. But Matt Ryan is also he has improved from last year. He releases the ball a lot faster now.
Let me just walk through
just by looking.
Let me just walk through the conferences real quick for you. The AFC East: New England 4-1, Buffalo 3-2, Jets and Miami 1-4. No real surprises there, I don't think. It's been nice, with Buffalo. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. The South: Houston 3-2. Tennessee 2-3, Indianapolis 2-3, Jacksonville 1-3. I'm a little surprised at Jacksonville number, but I mean I figured they had a better team, but they're really not living up to what the whole preseason hype was on them.
Yeah, it sounded more like smoke and mirrors, and now it looks like it's proven it.
It looks like Elijah Smoke.
Right.
Pittsburgh 4-1, Baltimore 3-2, Cincinnati 2-3, Cleveland 0-5.
Cincinnati kind of a surprise there, yeah, because I would expect them to be doing better than the Ravens right now and even challenging for that division, but it doesn't look like it.
Oakland 4-1, Denver 4-2, Kansas City 2-2, San Diego 2-4.
Big surprise there is Denver to me. Denver doing as well as what they were. The Chiefs, I
called them being 2-2 at this time.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to start fast. I expected them to struggle a little bit at the beginning of the season because it is very tough schedule for them to start the season. Oakland, not a surprise at all.
No. Dallas 4-1. We hop to the NFC. Dallas 4-1. Philadelphia 3-1, Washington 3-2, and the Giants 2-3. The Giants started out 2-0, and they look like world beaters. They've lost their last 3 games.
I think the biggest surprise there, though, especially with Tony Romo being hurt in the preseason, is the Cowboys still leading that division.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks that got hurt, we're going to jump down to the north. Minnesota 5-0, Green Bay 3-1, Detroit 2-3, the Chicago Bears 1-4. Minnesota
I would call Minnesota being unbeaten the biggest surprise at this point, especially with Teddy Bridgewater being hurt.
That's your last unbeaten team right now.
Right.
And with Teddy Bridgewater going down right before the season, bringing in Sam Bradford, who has to learn a whole new offense with a whole new group of guys, 5-0, and they've looked good.
Right.
Atlanta 4-1, Tampa 2-3, New Orleans 1-3, Carolina 1-4. Carolina's woes are just 1-4.
Yeah, what a team that really had higher expectations.
Are they going to be able to make the playoffs?
At 1-4, boy, you are hard pressed. I mean, you're
got a lot
trailing,
of teams to jump.
Yeah, you're trailing that division. Mind you, it's only by a couple of games, but I mean, and that could turn around. But man, it's got to turn around quick, fast, and in a hurry for Cam Newton and company down there.
And then finally, out west, Seattle 3-1, the LA Rams 3-2, Arizona 2-3, San Francisco, where we thought they'd be 1-4.
Yeah, biggest surprise obviously is Bruce Arians' team out there in the desert. The Cardinals are just, with the defense that they were trotting out there this year and the ability to put up points fast, they really should be a lot better than where they're sitting right now. I can't believe even the Los Angeles Rams, which, mind you, this is still the St. Louis Rams team from last year.
Yes,
they're just in Los Angeles now.
But they're actually, I mean, they had a good defense last year.
But they had no offense.
They didn't. And the thing is there were a couple times I saw them play Cincinnati, and Cincinnati destroyed them. But,
right.
I mean, overall, I mean, it's a good defense. But, I mean, the offense this year, I mean, you got Gurley. I still like Gurley. But you don't have a quarterback.
Right.
I mean, you gave up on your quarterback.
This is true.
Now, he's now leading a 5-0 team.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah. Maybe it's you.
I don't know.
I do like Todd Gurley, though. I do like him. You know, as far as guys that can tote the rock, you know, Todd Gurley is definitely right there.
Oh yeah.
One of the top running backs in the league right now, if not the best running back.
Now you had a couple
right
things
now
you wanted to bring up in the NFL, and a couple great topics.
Yeah, actually, one of the big ones that caught my eye this week was Rex Ryan and how everybody, even us, we threw him shade.
Oh yeah, we threw him under the bus
for firing his offensive coordinator. And
I think I went into a tirade, didn't I?
Yeah, and keeping his defensive coordinator, who was also his brother.
Go figure. I would go into a tirade.
Yeah, big shock there. So, you know, everybody gave Rex Ryan a very hard time about this. And now,
and at the time, they should have.
Yeah, at the time, if you looked at it, you were like, "Well, the offense doesn't seem to be the problem. The defense is."
They can't stop. They couldn't stop a junior high team.
Right. Now, all of a sudden, new offensive coordinator.
I mean, this is
what a difference.
I mean, you got a defense now. They actually beat New England Patriots.
The only team to beat the New England Patriots so far this year. And when you look at how they're doing it, they're running the ball. They're just keeping defenses at bay by controlling the line of scrimmage and running the ball. And that is, you know, so Rex Ryan-esque.
Isn't it, though?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, this is a team that, you know, where you saw, you know, one of the other teams in New York, the Giants come out, win their first 2 games big and look like world beaters, and then just drop an egg and go 2-3.
Yeah.
Buffalo did just the opposite.
Right. Yeah. The first 2 games they looked
horrible.
Like just absolute garbage. And then all of a sudden, after firing their offensive coordinator, they bring a new guy in, and boom, that fixes everything.
I don't want to. I mean, it's still early in the season, and I don't want to sit there and start going, "Hey, Rex Ryan, Coach of the Year, and this is what you've done." But I tell you, maybe the fear of God saying, hey, we're going to fire these guys. We're firing people, and we're going to start taking a look at these positions. Worked for Buffalo so far.
Yeah, so far so good.
There you go. There you go.
Now, one of the other topics that I was thinking about is obviously Tony Romo is going to be scheduled here in about 3 weeks to be cleared to come off of the.
He started practicing this week, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's not cleared to come off of IR until I think it's like week 9, 7 or 8. It might be 8 weeks. So he's not cleared to come off IR until 8 weeks. Well, that's right around the corner considering we're in the middle of week 5 now.
No, week 6 actually.
Week 6. I'm sorry. So week 6, we only got a couple more weeks.
Yep.
Dak Prescott looks fantastic. Ezekiel Elliott is as good as advertised. This Cowboys team is in very much control of its own destiny right now. The only person in that organization that wants Tony Romo back under center is Jerry Jones.
And I say hold just a minute. There's not been a team out there that has made Dallas so far have to throw the ball. Not one. Mm-hmm. They've not run into anyone that has plugged up the running game. This week they got a challenge. They've got a team that's done a really good job the last couple of weeks stuffing the run. They stuffed the run against Adrian Peterson. They stuffed up the Giants last week. Week before, they stuffed up Detroit. They did a good job of just taking away the running game. And I'm talking about my Green Bay Packers. They played Dallas this week.
Right.
They've done a tremendous job of stuffing the run.
Sure.
It's been their defensive backs where they've had all the injuries in the backfield. They're playing. They have no starting cornerbacks. From what they started the season with, their number one cornerbacks are not there. You have backups. So this is a team that struggled there. I want to see Dak Prescott have to play a game where he has to win it by the pass. That, I think, is going to be the challenge to see where Dak Prescott is. Tony Romo, we know, can do that. Tony Romo knows how to throw the rock. He knows how to spread it out. He's proven that over his career. So far, Dak Prescott he's done a great job. He's led him to 4-1, a lot better than I thought he was going to do. But he's done it also with a guy that's gaining 150 yards a game, is leading the NFL in rushing as a rookie. Let's see if we take that away. But it's going to be hard because guess who has the number one offensive line in football?
That would be the Dallas Cowboys.
And they've had that for about the last 3 years.
Right. I really like Dak Prescott under center for 2 reasons. Number one, he's young, he's strong, he's fast. Mm-hmm. Tony Romo, he's mobile, but he's Troy Aikman mobile. He can move around just enough. He's not young. Tony Romo is getting up there football age.
He's 36, 37.
Yeah, he's getting up there.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing that I like about Dak Prescott, he makes good decisions. If you look at his completion percentage, you look at his passer rating right now, and you look at his touchdown to interception ratio, go pull up those stats, and you tell me if Dak Prescott looks like he can throw the ball. I don't think you require to force a team to be one-dimensional to check the mettle of your quarterback. Make it, I think his mettle was tested the first time he had to trot out there and start an NFL game, and they turned around and won. Mm-hmm. And since then, it's been nonstop, constant good performance after good performance. And I really think it doesn't matter where you put that team and where you put Prescott, they are going to at least fight like hell.
Okay.
And give it a good run. Now, if you take Tony Romo and put him back under center, you put Dak Prescott on the sidelines, and Tony Romo walks in and lays an absolute egg, I think at that point it would be a no-brainer. You bring in Prescott, you put Romo on the bench, and then you waive him next year. Get out of that money. Get rid of them. Make him go away. You have Prescott. He's your guy.
Okay, Dak Prescott in the year. 107 out of 155, 69%. 1,200 yards. 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. No interceptions.
Right.
101.5.
Right.
4 touchdowns in 5 games tells me he doesn't have to pass the ball.
He doesn't have to throw touchdowns.
No.
But then when you've got Ezekiel Elliott and you can pound him in the red zone.
Now let's take away Ezekiel Elliott. What if you take that away? Because what Ezekiel Elliott gives you, he's got 546 yards rushing in 5 games.
Right.
Closest one, DeMarco Murray, another former Dallas Cowboy, 461.
Right.
What if you take away Ezekiel Elliott?
How many touchdowns does Ezekiel Elliott have right now?
5. He has more touchdowns himself.
There you go.
Than Dak Prescott has.
Like I said, you get close, then you hand it off to Zeke. That's really, that's the Cowboys' mantra right now.
I just think that
if Green Bay could somehow stop that offensive line from imposing its will upon them, which I think is going to be quite the tall task.
Okay.
If they can stop them and they can make the Cowboys a one-dimensional team, I have more faith in Dak Prescott being able to handle the situation than Tony Romo.
I just want to walk through their schedule so far. They lost their first game of the year to the Giants.
Right, which the Giants were on a tear at that time. Not a big surprise.
They beat the Redskins 27-23.
Right.
They beat the Bears. They beat the 49ers. Mm-hmm. Then they beat the Bengals.
Right. Obviously, the Bears and 49ers, those are sponge cake teams. The Redskins always play the Cowboys well. That is a divisional game, and in the NFC East, better than any other division in football. In the NFC East, you can throw out the records, you can throw out everything. When 2 division rivals are going at it, it's always going to be a tight game. They're always going to play each other hard. It's always going to be a very emotional game, and that's all there is to it. So for you to say they beat the Redskins, to me, that's still going to be a challenge of a game no matter how either team is doing, just because all the emotion that goes into playing that game.
Okay. I just think that, as we go forward, I don't think really Dallas has played anybody. I give them Cincinnati, but Cincinnati hasn't performed well this year. They haven't performed throughout the whole year. They've not performed well. I don't think they've had a big game. Looking at their schedule, I only see like 3 or 4 really big games in there.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see him go up against some good teams, to see what goes on. I'm not ready to say, hey, I think Dak Prescott, is the next coming.
I just say I have more confidence in him than I do Tony Romo under center right now. That's where I'm at. And obviously the rest of the Cowboys brass outside of Jerry Jones believes me as well, because there's no plans. There are no plans of putting Tony Romo back in the number 1 spot when he comes back at this point.
Oh, well, and that's going to be the call. That's going to be the call. The coach. I think Jerry Jones can have a little bit more to say in it. I like Dak Prescott. I don't think that Dak Prescott is the reason you're winning games.
No, I think that offensive line is the ability to control the line of scrimmage, the ability to make first down after first down, extend drives. That's going to be what wins the game. But I think Dak Prescott, when the chips are down and he needs to throw the ball, he can get the job done. That is what I think is winning the games. And as far as Jerry Jones goes, I think he's actually lost some of his power. And this all goes back to the draft a couple of years ago, when he had the card for Johnny Manziel in his hand with the first pick of the draft, and his son physically walked up and took it out of his hand and said, no, we're not drafting Johnny Manziel. Instead, they draft Zach Miller from Notre Dame, and he ends up being a great lineman for them. So I think he lost his power at that point, a little piece of it. He just kind of lost a little bit more as time moves forward. I think his son actually has more power on the team than he does.
Well, and the way I look at it, I think Jerry Jones is still the guy that writes the checks. Yeah, maybe, but I think he still has enough. I think he still has enough power that he can, pull that off. And I don't see a reason why they wouldn't if Tony Romo is healthy. I don't see why they wouldn't. And the thing is, we still have another couple of weeks to get there. Now, if Dallas loses the next couple of games, then where are you at with Dak Prescott?
I have 2 words for you on why they would deal Tony Romo. Trade value.
Oh, yeah.
You deal him right now before he goes out there and shows you that Dak Prescott is better. You deal Tony Romo right now, he's going to get you X amount. You deal him in about 4 or 5 weeks, he's going to get you half of that. So, trade value. That's the reason why you're getting rid of Romo.
And yes, he has trade value, but you don't see too many trades during the middle of an NFL season. You hardly see any.
No, you're right. You don't. You don't see many.
And the thing is if you do not play Tony Romo this year, you start losing some of that trade value.
But if you are the Cleveland Browns, or you're the Chicago Bears, or you're a team that needs an answer at quarterback, wouldn't that be a decent answer?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
It's a decent stopgap. That's what it is.
Well, that's true. Nobody's going to be building their.
They are not going to build around Tony Romo.
No, nobody's going to build around a 36, 37-year-old Tony Romo. Nobody's building around him. That'd be like the Jets deciding they wanted to build around Vinny Testaverde when he turned 41. Why would you want to do? No, you don't want to do that. But if you're a team that's struggling this year, you have no quarterback, this would be the way to alleviate some of the pressure.
See, and I put it this way. I think the only value that Tony Romo has right now is to Dallas. I don't see him as trade bait for next year because there are other quarterbacks you can bring in that are going to be younger, and at that point that you're going to want to keep a little bit longer than Tony Romo. They'll bring you a little bit less expensive than Tony Romo. If you want to use just Tony Romo as a stopgap, you can get other people to do that. I got a feeling that it's just, to me, it's too early in the career of Dak Prescott to say here it is. You got to remember, it takes a couple of games before your defensive coordinators catch up with your tendencies and what you do. He hasn't really gone up against in my opinion, a team that has been able to stop the run. Let's see what happens let's see what he does when that happens. That's going to be the key in my book.
That will be a very telling week for Dak Prescott if he is forced to throw the ball. But I think he can get the job done. I really do.
Okay. I mean, that's what we got to see.
Yeah, and when we get ready to do our predictions, we will come back to this subject. I like Dak Prescott in just about every game so far this year. I've liked the way he's looked. I've liked what he's done.
Okay.
So, just wow.
Where'd it go?
Man,
there it is. It's over there.
Lost my train of thought entirely.
It's coming back around.
Yeah. Anyhow, we got to get to a break. We're running way late on our break. So, when we come back, our NFL predictions right around the corner. We're going to talk about the American League Championship Series and 2 sweeps. And who would have thought the Indians would have swept the Red Sox to come into that series?
I tell you.
It's
postseason baseball.
It is
crazy. Postseason baseball.
Those crazy Indians. I just thought that was great. I really did. As much as I like the Red Sox, I thought it was great to see a team like Cleveland, who really, they were the underdogs in that series by far, not just by the media and the pundits, but just by the fact that the Red Sox just got it together. They had a good thing going, and then next thing you know, Cleveland comes in and spoils the party. and a clean sweep at that. So, I mean, that just shocked the hell out of me. Anyhow, we'll be talking about the American League and our predictions just on the other side of this. It is the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio.
Where do you go when you're looking for great food, a cold drink, and some of the best local live music? I go to the Phoenix, located on the corner of Lincoln Way and Main Street in historic downtown Mishawaka. Thursday nights, it's open jam with $2 well drinks. Friday and Saturdays, there's always live music with no cover charge. Great food, cheap drinks, excellent service. The place to be is the Phoenix.
Life is meant to be savored. If you find the reason, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana will make it special. From the casual European atmosphere to the high-end tavern fare, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern give you the chance to savor every day. Stop in and savor your day with your choice of a wide variety of drinks, from a classic martini to the best beers from local breweries. Savor your day on the patio, or come in and enjoy a glass of wine with some of our mouth-watering entrees. We're located in the historic Cam Brewery Stable Building in the 100 Center in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Call 574-807-0101 for reservations. Like us on Facebook to find out today's food and drink specials, or stop by our website at morgansandlbd.com. Drink in the moments, feast on the memories, savor every day at Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern.
Contact Kickstart Studios, audio recording services for all your recording needs. Songwriters, comedians, band demos, commercials, voiceovers, narration, sound effects, background music. Give us a call, 574-274-8046. Kickstart Studios at Comcast.net, or like us on Facebook at Kickstart Studios.
Danielle Slav from Cheers Pub here. If you're looking for the best live music in Michiana, Cheers Pub is for you. Established in 1982, Cheers has become a well-known venue featuring local, regional, and national acts. Hard rock, metal, indie, and classic rock music is featured weekly on our newly remodeled stage. We have karaoke on Wednesday nights, drink specials nightly, 4 Horsemen pizza, and a full menu to curb your appetite. We're open 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Located at 103 Dixie Way South in Roseland. Cheers Pub, where friends become family.
Broadcasting to the four corners of the earth, Michiana Edge, every Sunday night, 7 p.m., XERSradio.com.
You stick with it, and you're passionate about it, you'll get better.
Climb aboard Starship Comedy and join co-hosts Adam Nielsen and
your beloved comedian, Colton Cole,
as we boldly go where no internet radio team from Michiana has gone before.
I am a legend from the future.
We will travel to the comedy underworld so you will know where's the show.
I miss when drinking was fun, though. You know what I mean? Like, before it was like a problem. You know?
If it's funny or it's cool, we will cover it. Hey. See what I did there?
I was sent from space.
Dude, that's gold.
Just like my jokes.
Your mama must be so proud.
Why can't you love me?
Have you heard those two wacky guys, Chris and Ginn, on the Life is Art Also show? They share their favorite songs and their future favorites, too. They have live interviews with authors, comedians, artists, and musicians, and lots more. They also have a Word of the Week with Mad Dog Ho, the official lexicographer of Internet Radio. Tune in every Thursday, 6 p.m. on XERS.com.
The internet always good for a laugh. The Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. We are back to steal the line from another show and better than ever.
We are back.
We are back and better than ever. After the first hour, anyway. It was late, a little late coming back, but hey, you know what? Whatever.
What? We're late.
Yes, and don't ever show me something that funny before we go back on. It's hard to concentrate.
I'm trying to get you excited
the
here.
The world of internet memes is one of my favorite things. I actually started a Pinterest page this week.
Oh, you did not?
Yes, I did.
No.
Why you? What's the matter with that?
What do you have on Pinterest?
Funny stuff.
Okay.
Literally funny stuff. I mean, that's like all it is, like funny stuff. I also have some like recipes and stuff, and you know, I have an affinity for everything Americana. Mm-hmm. So you know, like different ways people dress stuff up and the stars and stripes and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I have a board for that too. But yes,
I don't think I've ever looked at Pinterest.
Really?
Never.
Really? It's not just for women, It's. I mean,
that's what a guy that has a Pinterest page would say.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not really for women.
It's not just women that are on there. I mean, I have caught a little.
You're turning red right now. Why?
Match my shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
Going chameleon.
Yes.
Look, I've dealt with this. Look, I've dealt with this. I've dealt with this already. I've had people ask me, they'd be like, why would you be on Pinterest?
Pinterest.
Dude, it is so easy to find all the subject matter you're looking for on Pinterest, especially if you like funny stuff like me, like internet memes and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of those. So, so I ended up building my own board.
Sure, you did.
And my wife has a Pinterest page. I was watching some of the stuff that she had on her board, and it just got me going. And I was like, okay, I got a few ideas for this.
I don't even have a clue what Pinterest is. I just see all the recipes and that come off of it. And, oh, look, I did my Pinterest and I got that. Okay. Love the recipe. That's okay. I do my own.
There's a lot of good recipes on there.
Yeah, I do my own. I know what I like to eat.
Well, that's fine. I'm not sharing any of my Pinterest recipes with you then. That's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be.
Oh, you don't have to be that way. Don't do me like that.
Well, the next time I bring in shredded crock pot chicken, you're not going to have any.
When was the first time you brought in shredded crock pot chicken?
I don't know.
The next time you do will be the first time.
There
you
go. That'll be there exactly.
Good Lord.
Exactly. There we go. That does sound good though right now.
Well,
I mentioned
I make a nice, very mean Dutch apple pie.
Dutch apple pie. Now, what's the difference between a Dutch apple pie and a regular apple pie?
The topping.
What the hell? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, with the regular pie, you have the crust over the top.
Right. Sure.
You got the crumbles. You've got you're taking. What I do, I take brown sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Take butter. Some flour.
Yeah.
And some oatmeal.
Okay.
Mix it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Crumble it on the top there, and then cook it.
You need a Pinterest page.
It's damn good.
You need a Pinterest page. You need to share that recipe with the world.
Now, I did something. I love making apple pies. I love making apple crisp and that. New apple crisp.
Apple crisp.
Apple crisp. You know what apple crisp is?
Yeah, it's a fabrication. It should be an apple pie that just didn't make it.
It has no crust.
Right.
What I did was I took graham crackers, crushed them up.
Okay.
A little butter, mix it in.
All right.
Made a little graham cracker crust on the bottom of the glass, plate. Put my apples in.
Right.
Put the Dutch apple season on top and cooked it.
We need to have Gordon Ramsay on the show so he can tell you how awesome or how horrible it was.
No, you just need to tell me how awesome it was, because I know how awesome it was.
It was really good.
Oh my God,
that's awesome.
That's one thing that I actually have had. People ask me to make them a pie. I brought one into work, and I was gone. I was on vacation when I made my first pies. Brought a couple into work, and one of the customers came up. It was her birthday, so I gave her a piece of pie.
Sure.
Ever since then, every time she comes, did you bring me some pie? Can I get a pie? I want a pie.
And you're going to harass me for joining Pinterest.
I'm not on Pinterest. I just do this my own.
Whatever, Betty Crocker. I don't want to hear it.
No, Cook is fine. I don't have a Pinterest page. Do you put up your sewing tips on there too? I just want to know.
I'm going to smack you.
You're
going to have a hard time. You have a real hard time breaking down the American League. The American League playoffs
with a fat lip,
with no teeth,
with a fat lip, no teeth. Yeah.
Because I'm going to hit you with my phone.
As the Cleveland Indians come up to the plate, we'll take a look at that.
So
let's get into baseball.
Let's get to the American League.
Let's get into some real sports. Let's get back into baseball.
All right, here we go.
Let's get back into America's
says the
game.
Baseball.
That's
guy.
Right.
So the Indians,
yes,
and the Blue Jays, they both sweep. And really, the Rangers put up a little bit more of a fight than what I expected. But what really shocked me is the fact that Cleveland put a dead sweep on Boston, and it wasn't close.
Have they been the surprise team this year? I mean, just
shocker.
I mean, if you take Michael Brantley. When I went and I did my fantasy league, I picked Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley was injured. But they expected him back after about the first month of the season. Michael Brantley hasn't played this year. He missed the whole season.
Right.
Their offense is just, I mean, they're missing a couple different guys that have just been hurt, and all of a sudden they're just scoring runs. And you're going, what the hell's going on with these guys?
That is out of the blue.
It is. But when you take a look at this team, this team is a solid baseball team. Between you look at some of these names. Santana's their DH, Carlos Santana.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Kipnis. Lindor's their shortstop. Mike Napoli. Remember Mike Napoli?
Yep.
That's their first baseman. Third baseman is Jose Ramirez. You're going, who? That's what I said. Lonnie Chisenhall. Coco Crisp.
There's a blast from the past.
There you go. Naquin. And finally, their catcher, Roberto Perez.
Right.
These are like you're just going, who the hell are these guys?
Well, a couple of those names you recognize.
You recognize Napoli.
Journeyman players.
You recognize Napoli. You recognize Kipnis.
Crisp.
Coco Crisp. Chisenhall, maybe?
Yeah, Chisenhall you'd probably recognize.
I mean, but I'm looking at...
But, I mean, and
Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
Batted .312, 176 hits, 11 home runs, 76 RBIs.
Yeah, Ramirez you'd probably recognize.
No, what would you recognize him from?
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, I suppose you're right. But see, the interesting part is even the names you recognize, they were never really superstars anywhere.
No.
You could probably make a case like 1 year for Crisp, but that'd be it. And then the rest of the time, nobody on that team was ever they were never superstar status. It's all a bunch of journeyman players.
No, this isn't like, Tomei and all those guys way back when that you had.
No, yeah.
I mean, we had the big boppers, and you knew every single person coming up.
Right.
This is, okay. You got Naquin. When I say Naquin, who do you think of?
Well, I think of the car dealer.
You think of Tom
here.
Naquin. That's why, I see T. Naquin. Tom Naquin, it's a good Chevy guy. He's out here playing. Tyler Naquin. Never heard of him. But there he is. He's playing center field, 14 homers, 43 RBIs.
Right.
Batted .296 on the season.
Right.
But the thing that they've done is they've had great pitching. And they went out and they made a deal right before the trade deadline. They got the guy that the Cubs wanted. Do you remember that? Andrew Miller.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted Andrew Miller, and Andrew Miller became untouchable. He was the untouchable. You couldn't get him.
Right.
And the Cubs ended up getting Aroldis Chapman.
Right.
They wanted Andrew Miller. And finally, Cleveland, last day, was able to pull Andrew Miller away.
Right.
And Andrew Miller has been, you talk about a stud in the bullpen, that's been the guy.
Right.
But when you take a look at Cleveland, you've got some solid pitching.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to start with Kluber. You got Tomlin is one of their pitchers, but they got some decent guys that can throw the ball, And that's the thing that if you look at, you just go, that's been the difference, is that they've just gotten really good, solid pitching and solid bullpen. But they've scored, and here was the thing. I mean, I was listening today. They were talking about this game, and everybody knows Toronto. Toronto's known for the big boppers, right? Scoring all these runs and everything else. You know who scored more runs than they did this year?
No idea.
Cleveland.
Really?
Cleveland actually scored more runs than Toronto.
That's surprising.
Yeah. But, I mean, when you go to this series and you look at it, and you look at the pitching and you look at the offense, how can you not see Toronto winning? How can you not see Toronto taking the series and sweeping it? Well, guess what? Isn't that the same thing that we said when Cleveland went in to take on Boston? How can you not see Boston coming in here and sweeping the series? At the beginning of the year, we looked at that division. How could we not see Kansas City and Detroit being the two fighting for that crown? Cleveland was up and coming, but they weren't there yet.
Right.
Kind of sound familiar?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, this is something you look in here and you go, okay, Cleveland, Toronto. This could be good. But I got a feeling that we're going to see something kind of like what happened to the Cubs last year. The only difference is that Cleveland has a home field advantage during this one.
Right.
Because remember, Toronto came in as the wild card.
Right.
So I got a feeling that what we're going to see is that the big boppers, Encarnacion, Donaldson, Tulowitzki, Bautista, I think you're going to see these guys tee off, and I think with the pitching that they have, between Estrada, between Stroman, between J.A. Happ, I think that's going to be the difference. And I think we're going to see Toronto take this, and I think it's going to be, if it goes 5, that's as far as it goes.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see this going long.
I think Toronto is going to dominate.
I think they will. I think that they have that potent of an offense. They also have a good defensive club too. So I mean, I don't know. I look at this thing and right now, Toronto it just screams out at me. But then again, like I said, when Cleveland was playing Boston was the one that's just going, my God, that's the team to beat coming into the playoffs. Did you think that Boston was going to get knocked out first round?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I was shocked. Cleveland won the first 2. I was like, oh, well, okay. Anybody has a good run, but, eventually I figured the Red Sox would pick it up. But no, they just, they got run. I couldn't believe it.
I thought it was actually going to come down to Boston versus Toronto, because I think Toronto exposed the frauds that the Texas Rangers were coming into this playoff season.
Right.
I really do.
Right.
And I thought it was going to come down to Toronto and Boston. We were going to have a big, AL East battle to see who goes to the World Series.
And what's surprising, in my opinion, I thought the Rangers put up a better fight than what the Red Sox did in their series.
No, I don't. Because in 2 of those games, Toronto blew them out. What was the first one? 10-4. So I had the first game, I believe. It was I believe a blowout. Let me go through here and I'll find the games for you just to make sure, because I don't want to. Toronto won the first game 10-1. Then they won 5-3, and they wrapped it up 7-6 and 10. And the 7-6 was at home. Yeah, they won 10-1 and 5-3 on the road.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I guess. 5-3 is not a blowout. 10-1 is a blowout. Yeah. 5-3 and then 7-6 is not.
Well, you got to remember 5-3. They gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th to make it 5-3. It was 5-1 going into the bottom of the 8th.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, they made it close. But
it wasn't as close as the score looked.
Up to that point, they'd outscored them 15-2.
Gotcha.
So, and that's where, when you look at it, you go, okay, here we go.
Right.
But I just got a feeling. I think that the way that they hit, and the power that they have. You look around their lineup. Okay. Let me take a look here. You start out with Travis. You go Donaldson, Encarnacion, Bautista, Russell Martin, Tulowitzki, Pilar, Melvin Upton Jr., and Carrera. You want to bring in another guy, bring in Saunders. Saunders, who gave you, 20 home runs and 70 RBIs this year?
Right.
Okay, that's your fourth outfielder.
Huh.
You've got some batters there. Donaldson, he didn't have that bad a year. 37 home runs, 99 RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
Encarnacion, 42 home runs, only 127 RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
Bautista, 22 home runs, 69 RBIs, but he was injured for quite a bit of time.
Right.
Tulowitzki, 24 more home runs, 79 RBIs. Saunders had over 20 home runs. You're talking quite a bit of dingers there.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of balls leaving the yard.
It is, and that's where I take a look at this game. This whole series, and I don't see the same production. On the Cleveland side, I don't see that offense. But then again, Cleveland did a great job of manufacturing runs. They scored a lot of runs.
Right.
They scored a ton of runs. But if you take a look at the team, and it's like one of those teams you talk smoke and mirrors, you just go, how? When did they do that? I mean, the whole season, we sat there and kept waiting for Cleveland to fold. Remember that?
Right.
You kept going, okay, so when are they going to fold?
Right. At some point, they got to wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
Fall back to earth.
I mean, you talk about Cleveland fans having a year. Your Cavaliers won it. Now you got your Indians in the championship game. It's too bad you have the Browns there. Otherwise you'd be doing pretty damn good there.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, right now, this Cleveland Indian team, this is a good young team. They've got some good pitching. I think the addition of Andrew Miller, that can come in the seventh inning and give you 2 innings, or come in the sixth inning and actually give you 3 innings. He's not a Aroldis Chapman. Aroldis Chapman gives you 1 inning.
Yeah.
When you stretch him over a little bit over 1 inning, he's not as effective. Andrew Miller can give you 3.
Yeah. Yeah, he can shorten the game up by himself.
Yes.
Even with Aroldis Chapman, you still need somebody like Soler or something on the back end to give you that 8th inning and get you to the 9th, so you can shut it down with Chapman.
That who? Soler?
Or not Soler, but
you mean Rondon?
Yeah, Rondon.
Yeah. If you have Soler in there pitching, we're in trouble, bud. we're in big trouble. But you've got Strop.
Strop. That's who I was thinking of.
Okay.
I said Soler.
Yep, you got Strop. You got Rondon. Yeah. You got Travis Wood. You've got. Right. You've got these guys.
Well, I was thinking as far as setup guys,
Carl Edwards Jr.
Because for a while, I was thinking mainly setup guys because Rondon and Strop were the 2 setup.
They were both injured and they came back. Yeah,
right. They were the setup guys. Actually, for a while, Rondon was the closer.
Right.
And then Chapman comes in, and all of a sudden, you have your instant closer.
Oh yeah.
And between him,
you got Mr. Lights Out.
Yeah, him, and then you have Rondon and. Between Wood and it's easy to make it a 7-inning game.
Yes,
with the Cubs when they're in the lead, and you can do that all by yourself, or I should say, they can do that all by themselves, just with 1 pitcher.
Yeah, and that's. I think that's why when I take a look at. This series in the AL,
right?
I just think that the starting pitchers that Toronto can trot out there, I think just far outweigh what Cleveland can. And when you throw in the power ability that Toronto brings to the plate, I see this as a short series. How about you? What do you think?
When you look at the series, Cleveland is playing with house money. I don't care how good they have been all year. smoke and mirrors is definitely the way that you can describe the way they've been doing this thing. I mean, a lot of people are trying to compare them to how the Kansas City Royals just came out of nowhere, and they're producing runs, and they're finding ways to get around, and they're finding ways to win games. But this team doesn't have the talent that the Royals did.
But Kansas City has pitching too,
right? And I was just getting there. They don't have the rotation. They don't have the bullpen that what Kansas City did. They were able to piece it together a little bit, but it's still not going to be enough. I think Toronto comes in. I really think Toronto comes in and they have an opportunity to sweep this series because I think Toronto can produce runs so quick and so fast that if they get ahead of Cleveland early in any game, you could chase your starting pitcher at any point. And they start getting into that Cleveland bullpen. You start utilizing the few good arms that Cleveland has every other game, you're going to wear them out quick.
The only thing that I worry about with the Toronto Blue Jays is that sometimes when you have those big boppers, if you hit that lull, and there were a couple times during the season they hit that lull, that they couldn't score.
Right.
And this is when, this is where baseball is a very fickle game. It's kind of like the hockey playoffs. In the hockey playoffs, if you get a goalie that stands on his head and just makes stop after stop after stop after stop, you have the ability to steal a game.
Right.
In baseball, all of a sudden, like what happened to the Cubs last year, where all of a sudden your hitters just go out there and for some reason they just drop an egg and fall flat.
Right.
You're in trouble.
Yep.
When you rely on the long ball, if that long ball doesn't come, now you're in trouble.
As a Cubs fan, we've seen that for years.
Yes, we have. I mean, we've seen it go so far, and all of a sudden, it's like you took the light switch and you turned it off.
I can think of the series against the Marlins, the famous Steve Bartman game. Yep. Shortly after that, the Cubs' offense just completely expired. They couldn't hit anybody.
Nope.
They couldn't hit anything,
nope.
And their pitching, it wasn't enough to hold them down, and then the Marlins end up winning the last game.
Well, it's you'll go even further back to '84 with San Diego. They took the first two, went out to San Diego, and all of a sudden the hitting disappeared.
Yep.
So, but this is going to be a good series. I think it's going to be a fun series to watch. I just think it's going to be more fun for Toronto Blue Jay fans.
No,
I think it's going to be a lot more fun because, like I said, I think this goes 5 at the most. I
agree. I truly agree.
I mean, this series will not leave Toronto.
I don't call sweeps very often.
Right.
This one, I could see it being a sweep.
Okay.
I really could.
Yeah. This game does not leave Toronto. I mean, I think if there's one taken, one stolen, it's going to be in Cleveland. You'll get to Toronto. They got 3 games there. It's over. It is over.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
We have not talked Notre Dame yet, have we?
No, we have still.
Of course, a lot of people are very happy we have not talked Notre Dame.
Yeah, There not too many people are real happy about the Irish.
Oh, by the way, the Irish do play football this year. This week.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a game at the stadium this week. Now, whether they play or not, that's going to be a different story.
Yeah. Are they actually going to come to play?
They'll be there. They'll be at the stadium. That's where they'll be.
There you are.
Now, this week they take on Stanford. The Stanford Cardinal.
Really?
Why is it not the Stanford Cardinals?
I don't know. I've often actually asked myself that.
This is one of those trivia questions that I always loved. And you go, name 5 teams in college that their nickname does not end in S. And 2 of them play in this game.
Yeah. So you got the Fighting Irish. You have the Stanford Cardinals. So those are easy.
Those are 2. 3 more.
Alabama Crimson Tide.
There you go. There's one.
Syracuse Orange.
Syracuse Orange. The Orangemen they used to be.
Right. They're the Orange now. Hold on. Give me a second.
One of them is in the Big Ten. I'll give you that hint. He's going through all the teams. I can see the smoke that's coming out of Steve Willis's ears right now as he's starting to run through all the teams. One of them is in the Big Ten.
In the Big Ten.
Yes, they are. Come on, go through all their names.
I'm working on it.
Do you know the teams in the Big Ten? That's
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, are you
Okay.
kidding me?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm trying to think of the two Michigan teams, both ending as Ohio State is the Buckeyes. Northwestern, no. Nebraska, no. Purdue, Iowa.
Boy, I tell you, it's fun watching you stump up here.
I'm
even
stumped.
though when I give that one,
I'm struggling. Well,
come on, the Illinois Fighting Illini.
The Illini. Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
I forgot that was their nickname. For some reason, I couldn't think of their nickname. God.
There's another one. Randy Moss played there.
Oh, Marshall.
What's their nickname? Come on.
God, I don't know.
The Thundering Herd.
The Thundering Herd. That's right.
Isn't this
fun?
Boy,
it's rare. It's rare that you hit that nickname.
Yeah.
It's rare that you hit on that nickname.
I mean, and those are just some. I mean, they're more out there. But I mean, that's a cool. If you ever want to use a trivia game to a sports buff, that's when you want to use a trivia question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you take a look at, how many teams?
I was able to get 4.
You were able to get
5. 5 was tough. 5 was a toughie. I can't believe I forgot.
See, and I've gone 6, and I could probably go a couple more yet too.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot the Illini. Yeah, now see, Marshall, I wouldn't have picked up on right away.
There's another team that Notre Dame plays this year, and they've played every year for a long period of time.
Oh, the Midshipmen of Navy.
Of Navy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So there you go. I mean, they actually play two teams this year.
Virginia would be another one.
No, they're the Cavaliers.
Oh, is that the wait? Who's the Minutemen?
That's
UMass.
UMass.
Yeah,
is the Minutemen. Yes,
that's right. That's who. Yeah, that's right. That's who I was thinking of.
You see how all of a sudden now they start popping
now they start coming to you. It's like, doggone it, where was that 5 minutes ago?
Let's talk a little bit Notre Dame football. Notre Dame, of course, they come into this game 2-4.
Right.
And this was a game.
Really, now we're talking just being bowl eligible by the end of the season. I mean,
and I'll be honest with you, I don't see it. I really don't. You've got Stanford.
Right.
You still have Miami, Navy, Army, and USC.
Right.
I don't see them beating Miami.
No.
I think they're going to struggle against Navy.
Yeah, I think Navy's got a real shot.
I think Navy will beat them. I think Navy's got that ground game that'll beat them.
Right.
Army's going to be tough because Army has a ground game.
Army, is surprisingly tough.
And then you've got USC. And that's at USC. But this game right here, let's take a look at this one. You're coming off a game which you lost in a monsoon. The last time you played in a monsoon was against Clemson last year.
Right.
We lost last play.
Same conditions, too. It was,
Same conditions.
Right in the middle of a hurricane and everything
10-3, 10-3, you lose.
Right.
Did you throw the ball too many times or try to throw the ball too many times in that rain? I think so.
Yeah, probably a little too much.
Here's the other thing, is when it's slippery and wet like that.
Why do you play out of the shotgun?
Why are you playing in a shotgun?
Yeah. Play under center.
I understand that your quarterbacks are more familiar with that and they're more comfortable with that because that's what you do.
Right.
But when you got to the conditions, you have to change. When you've gone through the first half, you have to change.
Right.
I sat there and listened at the end of the game, and I got to listen to Brian Kelly blame his center for poor snaps and blame this and blame that and blame. Time out.
Right.
Look in the mirror, Brian Kelly. Look in the mirror and look at the conditions and say, why the hell didn't you start changing the game plan?
Right.
How long do you wait before you go, well, this really isn't working, is it?
Right.
This really isn't. Why don't we change it a little bit? But see, I think that's been the whole problem this season, is that Notre Dame has been unable to change on the fly.
Yeah, and that kind of inflexibility is going to lead to a lot of second half debacles. And it's going to lead to a lot of leads lost. It's going to lead to a lot of losing games at the end. It's going to lead to a lot of negative outcomes, and that's exactly what the Irish are dealing with. And that is a surprise considering last year, as early as last year, they were actually one of the best second half teams in all of college football.
Oh, they were. And what makes it worse, though, Steve, and this is the thing that just really kills me, is let's take a look back at their schedule right now. Because you go, well, maybe they lost some tough games, they did lose against Texas. Yeah, where's Texas at right now? What are they, 2-4?
Yeah, something like that.
Or 3-3, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up until last week, the Irish victory was still one that they were hanging their hat on.
Oh, yeah. Nevada. What's Nevada doing right now?
Probably not a whole lot.
No. I mean, and that's the thing. If you take a look at them, they are 3-3. Okay. Michigan State, they lost to Michigan State. Or no, actually, they beat Nevada, but Nevada's 3-3. Michigan State has lost 3 straight games for the first time since God knows when.
Right.
You lost to Duke.
Which, I mean, Duke is trying to make them make a name in football again, but they've got a long way to go yet.
Well, the thing is, Duke had made the playoffs, or they had made bowl games like the last couple of seasons. They weren't that bad. They started out bad this year, and they really didn't look that good at all. But Duke itself, I mean, if you take a look at them, right now they're 3-3.
Right.
They got to play Louisville tonight. I'm looking 3-4 probably. So, I mean, if you take a look at this schedule, they beat Syracuse. They lost to North Carolina State. Mm-hmm. Name one of those teams that's above 500 right now. Or is one that is ranked. Not one ranked team
right.
have they lost to.
Right.
Okay? That's how pitiful this season has been. And the thing is it's not from lack of talent.
No, there's a very good amount of talent on that team.
The talent is there. I mean, the talent is there. It's not being used correctly.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with that.
And the other thing is you go, well, maybe they're just, they don't have the good players and blah. No. Take a look at the pros and take a look at the number of Notre Dame players that are playing on Sunday. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a whole lot.
There's a ton of them. And they're playing and they're contributing and they're putting up great numbers.
Right.
Is this a problem at the top? We got rid of the defensive corner. We said, it's all defense. That's it. Is it the defense? Well, yeah, the defense was a problem, but I think we need to look a little bit deeper at this.
Oh, certainly.
Right now you're going against a Stanford team. Stanford's reeling too. I mean, they're 3-2. This was a team that was a top 10 pick, just like Notre Dame.
Right.
Okay. They've lost their last couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They lost to Washington. They lost to Washington State. Went to Washington, laid an egg.
Right.
Both teams.
Right.
Now they got Notre Dame. They're going into this game, and as far as I understood, McCaffrey was still kind of we weren't sure if Christian McCaffrey was going to play. I don't know if they've come off of that or not. I haven't heard.
Uh-huh.
But this is a guy that left the game last week and was hurt.
Right.
So, I mean, this is something where you don't have, a David Hogan or an Andrew Luck or anything like that at quarterback. You've got some guys that aren't so good. Is this going to be, something that, Notre Dame is going to be able to, overcome and be able to do something against this team? Or is this another one where you're going to be disappointed because they just can't stop anybody? I mean, I don't know. This team has been so Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, we thought it was the defense. This last game was the offense. We scored 3 points. It seems like we've been scoring enough. We've been scoring some points, but we scored just enough to either lose or to win. And I'm not really sure what we're going to see here, but I got a feeling right now, and you're saying they're playing for a bowl game. I think right now they're playing for Brian Kelly's job.
Well, nobody's going to come right out and say that right now, but I think there's a shot at that. If Notre Dame doesn't make it to a bowl game this year, I think Brian Kelly packs his bags. Well,
and the thing is that, he is loved by Swarbrick. Swarbrick loves him. This is the kind, he just loves him. And you go, wow, the university loves him. They gave him a big contract extension and so forth. But here's the problem. If you bring this team in, let's say you do beat Stanford, but you lose to Miami, you lose to Navy, you lose to USC. You come down and limp in here with a 2-3 record. You end up 4-7. There are enough alumni out there that if you get them to start grumbling and you get them to start going at it, I don't care how much money Brian Kelly is owed, that money's going to come from those donors to get him the hell out of there.
Right.
Especially if you got someone like Les Miles that's out there waiting.
Right.
If it's true that Tony Dungy is looking at getting back in and would possibly go to a team like Notre Dame.
Right.
You've got some names out there that you can get. I don't know. I think right now Brian Kelly has to be playing for Brian Kelly. But from what I've seen, this last week, I figured, I thought after the Syracuse, when they fired Van Gorder, they went in the Syracuse game and did what they did. I said, okay,
right.
Brian Kelly's got the ship righted, and he's going to start showing this offense off what it can do.
Right.
Then you get the last week and you get to the monsoon. Yes, that's a tough game to win. That's a tough game to do anything.
But both teams played in those conditions.
That is it. And when you do not make any adjustments, you put your guy still back there, in a shotgun position, how can you blame the damn center? How can you blame someone, a kid that's trying to snap the ball back in those conditions? The ball's not sitting good in the dirt and the gunk and everything else you got down there to begin with. And now you're trying to snap it back, trying to get some control on your hands.
Right.
His hands aren't clean.
No, and there's about 6 cups of water between his hand and the football.
There you go. So, I look at that, I just say, this was a game where there were no adjustments made.
Right.
This is a game I look right up there at the top and I say, what the hell, Brian Kelly? What were you looking at? What were you waiting for? Why did you not take control of this game and use the power that you had with your offensive line, with your backs, and just march the damn ball down their throat? You wanted to say you're a running team? Prove it. You had the conditions to do it.
Right.
It's easier to go forward than it is to go backwards. I had a hard time. When you're standing 5 feet back or 5 yards back from the center, and you're trying to get a grip to get that ball first, get a handoff, and then try and get some type of footing to go forward in that type of weather. Come on, really? To me, it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
So I'm going to be interested in this game. Stanford comes in. To me, it's all going to come down to if McCaffrey plays. I don't know if he is or not. I think if McCaffrey does not play, I think Notre Dame wins this game. I just don't have faith in Stanford at all, just what they've showed. I think both Washington teams expose them for the weak defense that they have. I think Notre Dame's offense comes back. It's going to be beautiful weather tomorrow over at Notre Dame. I think they're going to win this game. I think it's going to be probably 35-31 because I still have no faith in the defense that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish have.
I'm looking at the 2 Washington games, the Washington State game, to see that Stanford, just like you said, their defense is very much suspect. That's exactly what Notre Dame needs right now, is to beat up on a bad defense and help get their morale back. I like the Irish to score a lot in this game. Once again, not to echo you too much, but Christian McCaffrey is going to be the key. If he plays, that dynamically changes what Stanford can do on offense, and that is going to put a big impact on what that defense of Notre Dame is going to be able to see and stop. So I like Notre Dame to win this out either way. I do like them to really win this game if Christian McCaffrey doesn't play. I only like Notre Dame in this game because the Irish have seemed to step up big in games of teams that were supposed to beat the crap out of them. So, they did it against Syracuse, and now I think they'll do it here.
Well, here's a telling stat. Stanford rushing the ball this year. If you take out McCaffrey, they've rushed the ball. They've rushed only for 184 yards.
Wow.
184 yards.
That's like
in
one game
games,
for a really good running back.
And as far as their passing game, they've passed for only 831 yards this season.
So offensively,
they're challenged right now.
Yeah, without McCaffrey, they're really
If you take
challenged.
McCaffrey's, out of the 831 yards, McCaffrey accounts for 154 of them.
Wow.
So, give you a difference. Their passer Burns, 69 for 104, 768 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Okay?
Right.
Notre Dame, Kaiser, 104 for 177, or out of 177 passes.
Right.
1,621 yards, 14 TDs, and 5 interceptions.
Right. So needless to say, Notre Dame's offense is definitely going to be the stronger of the two.
Definitely. They've their offense shows about 2,500 yards, and the Elkhart, the Stanford offense has gone for 1,500 total.
Wow.
So they're averaging about 300 yards a game in offense. That's it. That's it.
That's nothing.
No, not at all.
I think me and like 10 other guys in the parking lot could probably battle that offense.
I agree.
Well, with any luck, then we will see an Irish victory. All right, we've only got about a minute to go here, so let's get to some NFL games real quick.
Throw them at me.
All right. Throw them at you.
There you go.
Hold on. Let me pull them real quick.
I threw them at you last time.
Yeah, I thought you had them right in front of you, but I guess not. All right, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Second. No, it's all good. No, don't worry about it. 1 second here. Here we go. NFL games coming up. All right. So obviously, Week 6 started with San Diego and Denver. San Diego won. Here's our early slate. We've got San Francisco at Buffalo on Sunday.
I'm gonna take Buffalo. I think I think that says right there, rebirth in Buffalo. I think Buffalo has really showed they've really come back, and I don't like San Francisco. I don't like Kaepernick. That's who they're starting this week. I think Buffalo takes this one handily.
All right. Jacksonville, Chicago.
This is going to be really tough because I am actually going to take Chicago.
All right.
I don't have faith in Jacksonville. I think Brian Hoyer has done a tremendous job. I think Jay Cutler's looking for a new job because I think Hoyer's going to take that job away from him.
All right. L.A., Detroit.
Rams at Detroit. See, this is a tough game because Detroit has done everything to, just basically give games away. But I'm going to go with Detroit. I'll go with Detroit in this one.
All right. Pittsburgh, Miami.
No brainer, Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger, another big game.
Cincinnati, New England.
Boy, I got to go against the Cincy boys. I'm going to take New England. Tom Brady, what a comeback last week, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
What a game.
Carolina, New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Baltimore, Giants.
I think the woes are going to pile up for Mr. Cam Newton. I think we're going to go with the Giants.
Okay, well, Cam's not playing.
Oh, no, who was it? It was
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Oh, I'm sorry. Baltimore. I'm sorry. I got distracted here. Baltimore's going to take that one. I think they're going to the pilot for Eli Manning is what I meant.
Okay, Cleveland, Tennessee.
Tennessee.
And Philadelphia, Washington.
I got to go with Philadelphia. Got to go with Philadelphia on that one.
And the late afternoon games, Kansas City and Oakland.
Kansas City at Oakland?
At Oakland.
I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to take Oakland.
All right, Dallas at Green Bay.
I'm going to take the home team in that one, Green Bay.
Atlanta at Seattle.
You know what? I think Atlanta burns Seattle. I think they've done a good job. If they can burn Denver, they can burn Seattle.
Okay, Indy at Houston.
Houston at home.
And the Jets at Arizona.
The Jets are reeling. They're just stinking it up. I got to believe that Arizona's going to actually win a game.
All right, and then I have Buffalo, the Bears, L.A., Pittsburgh, New England, New Orleans, the Giants, Tennessee, Philadelphia. I think I'm going to take Kansas City just to be different.
You don't want to, but your
no
heart
other
knows.
good reason.
Your head says no, your heart says yes.
Right, exactly. I like Green Bay over Dallas. I like Atlanta over Seattle. I like Houston over Indianapolis. And I like the Jets to come out ahead of Arizona.
So you and I disagree on 4 games.
Yeah.
4 games.
There you go.
There's your picks for this week. You go ahead and make your picks. Make sure you go to our Facebook page, Cheap Seats with Steve and Steve. Give us your picks. Let us know what you think for this Sunday.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
why not tell us what you think Notre Dame's going to do this week? Or, if you'd like to also, what are we going to see in the World Series? Because by the time we come back here next week, we could have our World Series already matchup ready.
Very well could be decided by that time. So if not, it'll be a game or two away. That's for sure. So anyhow, that's going to wrap it up for us. For Steve Detterman, this is Steve Willis. You guys enjoy the baseball, enjoy the football, and go Cubs, go baby,
go baby.
We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Trying to hide the pain. I'm going to the place where love and feeling good don't never cost a thing.